We are Steve and Jill.
Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show,
We answer that and more.
seems like.
Steve and Jill here.
Hello.
Welcome to the Land Academy Show, entertaining land investment talk. I'm Steve and Jack Putella.
And I'm Jill DeWitt, broadcasting from the cherry capital of the world. I have to say, I love it. I love cherries. I love cherries so much that over my shoulder here, let me just show you. I even picked up some cherry-flavored whiskey from the Grand Traverse Distillery, and boy, is it delicious. So we are actually coming to you from Traverse City, Michigan right now.
Yeah, if you don't already know from last week, we've been on the road for at least 2 weeks, maybe a little bit more. Our destination...
Shucks, 3 tomorrow.
Our destination was our niece's wedding here in Traverse City. Mm-hmm. We've got that behind us, and apparently everybody else does too, because you know how weddings are. Although we did have a blast, and we're going to continue traveling, buying and selling, or taking a look at real estate. Jill just signed a deal today. We had a notary come over.
Mm-hmm. Here to the rig.
We're effectively, seriously, full-time testing, doing this from the road, and it's working out great.
Yep.
Today, Jill and I talk about in-person versus online trolling for counties to figure out where to send blind offers to send mail. You know, the entire time that we're out here, I'm like, wow, this is a fantastic county or zip code, potentially, to check it out, make sure it passes all the red, green, yellow tests to see if we should send land here. So we'll talk about that in just a few minutes here. Before we get into it, though, let's take a question posted by one of our members on the landinvestors.com online community. It's free, and I hope you know that Jill and I instruct a handful of people every quarter about on a 10-week session called Career Path. I think the next one's starting in October.
October 12th. It's coming up fast. If you're interested, I still do have slots. Go to landacademy.com/career path and read all about it, and then send my team questions if you have them at support@landacademy.com, and we will fill you in. So Kevin wrote, hello, I'm not sure about the concept of title insurance.
Boy, you're
What'd
not
you
alone.
Say? Oh, I didn't know. I thought you said oi. I'm like, where'd oi come from?
No, Kevin, you're not alone.
Oh, okay.
Jill's going to explain.
Boy, you're not alone. Okay. Am I left or right? I'm going to find out right now. Am I left or right? I'm left. Sorry. Okay, cool. Number one, when buying properties, should you always get title insurance, and why? Number two, when selling properties, why would some buyers not want title insurance? You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first and try to make it simple. Title insurance insures, theoretically, any errors in the chain of title. And the chain of title is quite simply all the chain of people that have owned it since it was homesteaded, let's say in the 1800s. And so maybe 10 people have owned it since its inception. Maybe one or two people have owned it because it stayed in the family or it stayed in some type of trust. So that title insurance is supposed to insure that chain of title. To directly answer your question, should you always get it? No, I don't think so. When should you not? The vast majority of the time you should get it. When you should not get it is when you're buying a property for $500 or $1,000 that's really in the desert. You're going to go sell it on eBay or online, or really just sell it for $1,000 more to somebody who's going to kind of just own it, maybe not use it. Just say they own a piece of California, for example. So the cost of getting title insurance and going through escrow ranges from, let's say, $800 or $900, maybe $1,000 to $2,500. So you got to work that in. If you're buying a $1,000 property and it's cost $1,500 to close it, doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That's a very small percentage of the transactions out there where you don't need it. The vast majority of the time when you go to buy a house, or you buy usually the types of properties that we get, you go through escrow and get title insurance, and Jill will tell you why.
Well, they check for other things as well, too. They make sure the taxes are current. Good title companies will go check for liens. They will check access, all kinds of other things. They might uncover something, which is, it's not nuts. Some of the times that I would say I would definitely get title insurance if you're on the fence is maybe you're not sure you're transferring title the right way. Maybe someone passed on. Maybe it isn't a trust. Maybe it's a company. Maybe there's some weird things going on. You're like, I'm not sure I'm doing it right. And just to make sure that it goes through the correct way, I have enough money that it's baked in to afford title insurance. I'm going to have a title agent close this, and then I just don't have to worry about it. I don't have to figure out getting which documents for the fill in the blank company or whatever the probate situation may have been, something like that. If it's kind of kooky, then I would use title insurance for sure. Or if someone's going to build, usually my rule of thumb is they're going to build there, they're going to want title insurance.
The right question is, how are you going to use it? If you're buying a $25,000 piece of property, you're selling it for $50,000, it's probably worth $80,000, you should really get title insurance.
Sometimes it's not needed, but it just makes everybody feel better. That's it. It's warm and cozy.
Yep. Today's thought, if I was a lawyer, I would say, oh my gosh, why would you ever consider buying property without title insurance? Are you crazy? You're going to die.
If you were a lawyer?
Yeah.
That's funny. What else would you say if you were a lawyer?
Oh, be careful what type of air you breathe and when, because you could die.
Would you say always get a prenup?
Yes. Yeah.
And make it an ironclad one. That's awesome.
Let's not make fun of Lawyer Week, but I wish
No.
we could make it that way.
Oh, come on. We have several friends that are lawyers, and we make fun of them, and they make fun of us. So it's totally fine. It's all good.
Today's topic, in-person versus road trip trolling for counties to send, places to send blind offers through the mail. This is the meat of the show. So Jill's sick of it by now, but man, every probably 15 minutes or so when we're driving around in our rig, and I'm like, wow, this might be a good place to send out mail. Are you sick of it?
Not yet, but it's getting there. No, because I get it too. I know.
And sometimes she says it. So I started to think last week, well, wait a minute. We're always talking about trolling online. And so I really sat down with a pad and a pen and wrote out what I was thinking. And there's no way that you can improve on the efficiency of trolling online. It's fun to go take a look. It might confirm a bunch of things for you, but in the end, I tested about 5 or 8 immediate areas that came to mind while we were driving around having fun, looking for places to send mail. And almost none of them passed the red, green, yellow test.
So can I jump? Here's what happens. Like, one of the biggest surprises we found was, wow, look at these small, I'm gonna give you a real example. These small towns in Colorado, like the one I'm wearing on my shirt here. You think like, wow, this is great. And then we picked up as we were driving all over Colorado. We spent so much time in Colorado because we loved it. It was so pretty. We found out, the more I get away from the big cities like Denver, the more we like them. It gives a different homey vibe, and boy, do you guys kill it as far as bike trails and outdoor sports. I mean, you guys are so far the best of everywhere we've been, including Michigan. The trails and stuff here, there's not as many miles as trails. You in Colorado know. Sorry, I'm letting the cat out of the bag. I won't name any other than the one I'm wearing, but I won't name any other small towns, sweet towns in Colorado, so not everybody goes there. But anyway, so that was one of the things that we discovered. Like, look at these small towns and how great they are. Then we were like, but when you get closer to Denver, it changes the vibe. It changes a whole bunch and it changes the money.
Yep.
It changes the property values. All kinds of things change, when you get closer to the city. But like you said, then you have to go back. They sound great and they're beautiful, right?
And fun to be
and in your head, you're like, this is going to be it. This is where we're sending our mail. And then you sit down and you do the real red, green, yellow test. And thank you for creating that a couple years ago, because that's the best. Then you go, oh, shucks. Darn, it's not what I thought it was. Because the data really is what you need to go by.
Hey, if you want to
pretty as it is,
buy a super cool piece of land and build it yourself, or drop a modular cabin on it, or whatever, which we talk about all the time. Then going and scoping it out yourself, you have to do that. You got to meet the people. You have to go to the local brewery or the local bar, or whatever. In some cases, the church is the only thing that they have going on. So we have yet to do that, but I feel like that might be coming here.
Yeah, so that's not nuts. Yeah, if it's for your own personal primary thing, like we've been looking at, then this is perfect, right? What we're doing. But to make money on, then you need to trust the red, green, yellow test more than your gut.
So there's emotion, and then there's money.
Right.
And you didn't join Land Academy, and I didn't create Land Academy to perpetuate how I feel about something. I did it to get rich. Hopefully you did too. And that's working out for Jill and I. So when you pass these red, green, yellow tests, usually the places where we're sending mail, there's something going on. People are buying and selling property. There's a velocity there that's creating a relatively low days on market. If you're a Land Academy member, you already know all this stuff, what the red, green, yellow test is. And so these really, really cool places, while I truly believe, because of Starlink, which is what we're using right now, we're on Starlink right now recording this. I can't say enough stuff about good, positive stuff about Starlink. I feel like I'm going to jinx myself. Like it's all going to turn off.
I know. Stop it.
dark.
Stop talking about it. You know what? I have another surprise. I'm going to ask you too about some of your surprises on the road.
Yeah.
Like one of the surprises I thought is because we're talking about, in-person trolling, if you will. So here we are crossing the middle of the country, going through like Nebraska and Iowa and Wisconsin. I saw a ton. I was blown away by the volume of ag land.
Yeah.
I know there's a bit of ag land, but I didn't realize how much ag land. And I was blown away by, maybe it was where we were going. I'm sure you will, as you're watching this on YouTube, you can, and you're in these places, I'm sure you're typing this right now into the comments section at the bottom on YouTube. But I did not see the cattle and the livestock that I thought I would see. I saw way more ag farming.
Yeah, and so we took the Lincoln Highway from Colorado to Madison, Wisconsin, with a few exceptions. We only got on the freeway
when we had to. When
they forced us to, because there was construction. So, that's stopping in a town or slowing down to 35 miles an hour every 10 or 15 minutes, miles or so. The further east you get, the closer the towns get. So I researched that, and it turns out that's because in the original days of a steam engine, it's all on a rail line. They didn't have tenders, and so they had to fill up every 10 miles for water, for steam water. They didn't have coal or wood to generate the steam, and so that's how that got created. So what I think is that agriculture itself, not livestock, needs to be closer to, or needed to be closer to, a rail line. But yeah, I mean, if you read on what those states produce, specifically Iowa, Nebraska, where cattle and livestock is a pretty significant portion of what they produce. We just didn't see it. So if you know why, and somebody does, please let us know.
It's all the corn
and beans.
Exactly.
There's all kinds of government programs and reasons for that too, but that's not what the show is about.
No, but it's interesting. Just little surprises.
Buying agricultural land is one of the greatest ideas ever.
True.
You just have to do some research about where they allow you to send mail. It's usually a local authority that's passed some type of rule about, hey, if you're from LA, we don't really want to sell you our land. Our agricultural land.
That's in a statute somewhere.
I don't know if it's a statute. It maybe not.
It's
maybe
unwritten.
Yes.
It's a little bit of an unwritten thing, maybe.
Or it may be written. It's just
not
a statute.
Yeah, that's funny.
Anyway, we're having a blast looking at all this dirt, and that's what it comes down to. But when it comes down to choosing a place to send mail, the best is you have to you got to troll, just like we talk about in the career path and in the Land Academy programs, and you have to take what you find as rational places to send it and run it through the tests, red, green, yellow test. And you can do that 100 markets in an afternoon, and driving in your car around like this is going to take you a few months. So, but maybe that's what you want right now. That's what Jill and I want.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong. I'm still, when it's over, sitting in the back of the rig while Jill's driving and trolling for real estate online.
Yep. Happy you could join us today. 5 days a week. You can find us here on the Land Academy Show.
Tomorrow, the episode on the Land Academy Show is called Land Academy as a Legacy Business. You are not alone in your real estate ambition. Did you talk to somebody recently that really wants to teach their kids how to do this?
It's a couple times a month, it seems like I'm talking to people, and that's why they're here. They're coming here to say, I'm not only doing this for me, I'm doing it for my kids. I want to make sure that my kids will always have a way to provide for their families. I'm like, and as a side note, it could be a family business. I'm like, brilliant. That is awesome. Thanks for tuning in. And by the way, don't forget, it's still new for 2022. And I have a feeling there's a new one coming in 2024, 2025. We'll see. But everything that we do right now, today, the changes we have made over the years, and even since initially launching Land Academy, are in our latest program, Land Academy 3.0, Catching Up with Land Academy, which again we launched in 2022. Check it out. Go to landacademy.com. And if you have any questions, please send a note to support@landacademy.com. We are Jack and Jill.
Information
and inspiration
to buy undervalued property.
We hope you found our content valuable and we appreciate your support. If you have not already, please check out our channel and hit the subscribe button.
And your comments and suggestions help us to create the content you're here for. Hitting the like button helps to support our channel's algorithm and gauge your interest for future shows.